In India, a railway security guard allegedly shot 4 individuals on board a train.
Reports say it began in an argument resulting in the guard opening fire. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Senate resolution reaffirms Philippines-Japan parliamentary ties. Marcos administration highlights the Filipino language as a bridge to nationwide unity. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis seeks to repair ties with Turkey. Washington issues a travel ban on Haiti over multiple abduction incidents. And a team made of both Russians and Ukrainians win esports gold. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, calls on all Filipinos to join the digital transformation of government services by registering with the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys. PSA Undersecretary and National Statistician Claire Dennis Mapa reports they're increasing efforts to ensure every Filipino citizen becomes part of the Makabagong Pilipinas or Modern Philippines through PhilSys. According to the 14th of July PSA data, over 80 million Filipinos or million people have already registered under PhilSys, with over 35 million PhilIDs pending and over 38 million printed e-PhilIDs successfully issued. MAPA also calls for the support of government agencies to continue integrating the PhilSys into their systems and services.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, assures that the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, or BSKE, will not be affected by the fire incident at the Palacio del Gobernador. COMELEC spokesperson John Rex Lodianco says that the fire did not affect any of BSKE preparations. The Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, also reports that there were no extensive damages to the building, but COMELEC still implemented a work suspension on Monday for safety purposes. BFP will continue their investigation and safety assessment while some COMELEC regular operations resume Tuesday.
The Department of Agriculture, or DA, and SGS Philippines Incorporated will explore potential partnership in solving challenges affecting the agricultural industry. They specifically discussed the African swine fever, or ASF, animal health issues, and agricultural smuggling. Both parties expressed support for an alliance aiming to protect local produce from farms and ensuring healthy stock and swine production.
Bea Alonzo is the 2022 Census of Agriculture and Fisheries Ambassadress. Actress Bea Alonzo is the Philippine Statistics Authority's ambassador for its National Census of Fisheries and Agricultural Sector. PSA says Alonzo is a good choice as she has experience in farming. Alonzo bought a farm in Zambales in 2011 that grows mango trees and other trees and raises cattle, sheep, pigs, horses, and poultry. Survey is done every 10 years since 1903. 2022 rounds will be done this starting September 4, 2023 until the month of October.
Because as you know, this is very dear and close to my heart because I am a farm owner myself. I've had Beate Firma, rebuilt Beate Firma 12 years ago. Kaya alam ko rin po ang mga challenges ng farming. And ligid po sa, siguro marami pong hindi nakakaalam na even before we built Beate Firma, ay isa po sa mga unang negosyo namin ni Mama ay palaisdaan sa Riel, Quezon. Kaya matagal na po talaga kaming into agriculture. So, hindi ako nagdalawang isip na gawin ito.
The Department of National Defense, or DND, welcomes Lieutenant General Roy Galido as the 66th Commanding General of the Philippine Army. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. named Galido as the new army chief yesterday. According to DND, Galido is a member of the Philippine Military Academy's Bigkislahi class of 1990. He served as commander of the 6th Infantry Division and Western Command of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP. Galido succeeded General Romeo Bronner Jr., who is the new AFP chief.
Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, reports an optimistic outlook on the easing of inflation for the coming months. BSP Governor Eli Remolona Jr. says that inflation remains to be an immediate challenge, but likely has already peaked in January this year. The central bank expects consumer price growth to slow from 4.1 to 4.9% compared to June's 5.4%. Remolona Jr. is optimistic that the headline inflation will hit their target of 2 to 4% in the coming months. Deputy Governor Francisco Daquil Jr. also assures that the future monetary policy will continue to be data-dependent and guided by the constantly changing domestic developments.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, upgrades its digital app dubbed OFW Pass. Madeline Villar Moratilio for the report.
After a few days of maintenance, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, launches its upgraded version of the digital alternative to the Overseas Employment Certificate, or also known as OFW Pass. The maintenance was scheduled last July 29 to 30, days after its launch on July 21st. According to the department, the one-time password, or OTP, authentication system is now online. DMW notes that the OTP will be sent to the registered email address of the users with the complete requirements. The OFW Pass is on a pilot run in the Philippines as well as 10 countries with the most number of Filipino migrant workers. These sovereign nations are the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Qatar, Oman, Taiwan, Japan, and the United Kingdom. Madeline Villar Moratilio reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Senate adopts a resolution aiming to bolster parliamentary cooperation between the Philippines and Japan. Vin Pasqua for the report.
The Senate of the Philippines unanimously approves Resolution 703 honoring 67 years of bilateral relations between the Philippines and Japan in various areas. The resolution reaffirms the two nations' enduring bonds of friendship with the Japan-Philippines Parliamentarians Friendship League, or JPPFL. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri notes that the upper house recognizes the two countries' strong ties and mutual respect for regional cooperation and their entwined history. He further adds that interparliamentary exchanges and dialogues pave the way for formulation of bilateral agreements and treaties between the Philippines and Japan. As stated in the resolution, the Philippine Senate and the National Diet of Japan enjoy robust interparliamentary ties through the JPPFL and Philippines-Japan Parliamentarians Association. The resolution notes that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s visit to Japan last February 2023, as well as the official visits to some members of the two houses of Congress in April, strengthen the ties between the two countries. The Philippines and Japan established their diplomatic relations on July 23, 1956. Vin Pasqua reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. highlights the importance of promoting the Filipino language as it contributes to the development of the country. Queenie Noble has the details.
President Marcos Jr. says that the use of the Filipino language plays an important role in shaping the country's heritage and culture. In his Buwan ng Wikang Pambansa open letter, he urges the Filipino people to share stories and experiences through the Filipino language, emphasizing the goal of transforming the Philippines into a more united and prosperous nation through the use of the national language, further urging Filipinos to collectively show their love of the country by promoting the national language. Buwan ng Wikang Pambansa is celebrated in August of every year since the signing of Proclamation 1041 in 1997. This year's celebration theme is Filipino at mga katutubong wika, wika ng kapayapaan, seguridad at inklusibong pagpapatupad ng katarungang panlipunan or Filipino and indigenous languages, language of peace, security, and inclusive implementation of social justice. Queenie Noble por mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, stated the benefits of the global rankings to boost a world-class quality education in higher education institutions, or HEIs, here in the Philippines. CHED Chairperson J. Prospero de Vera III said that these rankings will help HEIs assess the annual performance of institutions. He cited that the wide scope covered by the global rankings will include metrics of HEI programs, research facilities, foreign student engagements, and the United Nations Social Development Goals. The Philippines used data metrics and rankings from Quacquarelli-Simmons, or QS World, Asia and Stars, Times Higher Education, or the World Asia and Impact Rankings, and the World University Rankings for Innovation, or WURI. CHED cited that as of May 1, Philippine HEI figure has globally ranked increased from 15 to 52. De Vera said sponsoring HEIs through school visits and discussions with international universities will help improve rankings within the country. He added that both private and public universities are included in the 52 globally ranked HEIs.
Pag-asa spots the eye of Typhoon Kanun at 835 kilometers northeast of extreme northern Luzon, outside the Philippine Area of Responsibility, or PAR, as of 5 p.m. Kanun is moving west-northwest at 15 kilometers per hour with maximum sustained winds of 175 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 215 kilometers per hour. The State Weather Bureau projects that Kanun will pass south of Okinawa Islands. Pag-asa, however, advises that the southwest monsoon enhanced by Kanun will bring persistent rains over the western portion of Luzon for 3 days. The weather agency forecasts that Kanun may weaken late tomorrow or early Thursday upon entry into the waters of the East China Sea.
Coming up, Myanmar civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi has 5 of her charges pardoned. Lebanon's central bank governor steps down after 30 years. And a pro-Russian movement is spreading across Niger. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when we return.
Stage fright, big crowd. These are just some of the factors that make a person retreat from being on stage to speak publicly. But do you know that public speaking can boost your credibility as a personal brand? We learned from the master public speaker himself, Mr. Mitch Carson, CEO of Impact Products Marketing, on how you can grow your business through public speaking, branding, and more.
Many salespeople sell one-to-one. The effective public speaker can speak one to many. When you are able to impact many at the same time, you do 2 things. 1, you can sell to many. And second, your perceived value goes up.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m. Kilalanin ang mga muka sa likod ng mga balita. Aalamin totoong pagkatao. Uungkatin mga natatagong kwento.
Lahat ng katangian para hindi ako iboto, nasa akin na po.
When you heard what happened to your son, ano po ba naging reaction niya?
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panelo sa Counterpoint tuwing Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi dito sa Net25.
This is a hard show.
Alam ko maraming nakakalkal sa akin pero hindi ko akalain ito kakalkalin niyo.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. At least 11 people died and 27 are missing due to flooding from the mountains around Beijing. Authorities closed train stations and evacuated residents to school gyms due to bad weather conditions. Beijing experienced an unusually high level of rainfall this year that caused flooding and death throughout the country. China hits seasonal flooding every summer, but some northern areas have been reported to have the worst floods in 50 years. In July, at least 15 people were killed by floods in the southwestern region of Chongqing, and 500,090 residents have been evacuated from the province of Liaoning. Some people were trapped in their homes and vehicles during the rainstorms in the central province of Hubei. The country's most destructive flood recorded over 4,150 dead people in 1998 near the Yangtze River.
Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng arrived in the Pakistan capital of Islamabad to mark the 10th anniversary of an economic plan that would be the cornerstone of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. Since its initiation, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, has seen tens of billions of dollars funneled into transport, energy, and infrastructure projects. But the undertaking has also been hit by various issues, including Pakistan struggling to keep up its financial obligations, as well as the safety and security of cargo and travelers coming from China by militant groups. In recent years, Beijing has been one of Islamabad's most reliable foreign partners, readily providing financial assistance to bail out its often struggling neighbor. Earlier this week, Beijing granted Pakistan a 2-year rollover on a $2.4 billion loan, giving the debt-ridden nation much-needed breathing space as it tackles a balance of payments in the middle of an economic crisis. An IMF report last year said that China and its commercial banks held about 30% of Pakistan's total external debt. The two countries share a 596-kilometer border near the Siachen Glacier in the Karakoram Mountains, one of the world's tallest mountain ranges. But ties have been strained by numerous hurdles in recent years, including stalled or scaled-back CPEC projects. The CPEC corridor linking China's far western Xinjiang region with Pakistan's strategic port of Gwadar in Balochistan has sparked claims that the vast influx of investment does not benefit locals. Security is on high alert, and a 2-day public holiday has been ordered for Islamabad to keep people off the streets. Pakistan's rival India has more turbulent relations with China, with the two sides often trading blows along their principles on occasion.
Jailed Myanmar civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been pardoned in 5 criminal cases, despite facing 14 others. The announcement was part of an amnesty of more than 7,000 prisoners to mark a national holiday.
Any comment, Ms. Suu Kyi?
Suu Kyi has been in detention since 2021, where she was ousted by a military coup. The former leader has been sentenced to 33 years in jail for charges including corruption, wiretapping, and violating coronavirus restrictions. Suu Kyi has only been in the public eye since she was held after February 1, 2021, through state media photos depicting her courtroom sentencing in the military capital of Naypyidaw. According to her aide-de-camp, Suu Kyi was moved from prison to a government building, citing her age and health concerns as factors qualifying her transfer. Myanmar frequently grants amnesty to thousands of prisoners to commemorate holidays.
စုသမ္မတမြန်မာနိုင်ငံတော်စီမံအုပ်ချုပ်ရေးကောင်စီသည်အမိန့်အမှတ်48မြင်းဆောင်2023ကို1385ခုနှစ်ဒုတိယဝါဆိုလဆန်း15ရက်2023ခုနှစ်ဩဂုတ်လ1ရက်ရက်စွဲဖြင့်ထုတ်ပြန်ပါတယ်။အဲ့ဒီအမိန့်ပြည်စုံမှာပြစ်ဒဏ်လွတ်ငြိမ်းခွင့်အမိန့်နိုင်ငံတော်စီမံအုပ်ချုပ်ရေးကောင်စီဥက္ကဋ္ဌသည်ဒေါ်အောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်အပေါ်သက်ဆိုင်ရာတရားရုံးများကပြစ်မှုထင်ရှားစီရင်ပြီးချမှတ်ခဲ့သည့်ပြစ်ဒဏ်များအနက်ရာဇဝတ်မှုကြီးအမှတ်35မြင်းဆောင်2021ရာဇဝတ်မှုကြီးအမှတ်39မြင်းဆောင်2021ရာဇဝတ်မှုကြီးအမှတ်81မြင်းဆောင်2021ရာဇဝတ်မှုကြီးအမှတ်38မြင်းဆောင်2021ရာဇဝတ်မှုကြီးအမှတ်45မြင်းဆောင်2021တို့ဖြင့်ပြစ်မှုထင်ရှားစီရင်ပြီးပြစ်ဒဏ်ကြခံရန်ကြံရှိသည့်ပြစ်ဒဏ်များအားရာဇဝတ်ကျင့်ထုံးဥပဒေပုံမှန်401ပုံမှန်ခွဲ1အရလူငိမ့်သက်သာခွင့်ပြုလိုက်သည်အမိန့်အရအောင်လင်းတွေဒုတိယဗိုလ်ချုပ်ကြီးအတွင်းရေးမှူးဟုဖော်ပြပါရှိပါတယ်ရှင်
Myanmar's military postpones the promised election scheduled for August this year, extending the state of emergency imposed after the 2021 coup. The military cites ongoing violence as the reason for the delay, acknowledging their lack of control to stage the polls due to widespread opposition and armed resistance against their rule. The elected leader of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, and other officials in the National League for Democracy political party were arrested in 2021, leading to a state of emergency and subsequent protests. The military did not specify a new election date, only stating that it would happen after the state of emergency goals were achieved.
Taliban and the U.S. hold their first official talks since Taliban's Afghanistan takeover in 2021. Officials say that the two-day talks in Qatar's capital focused on the economy, human rights, and narcotics trafficking. Taliban leaders have met officials from the United States and Qatar for the first time since their return to power in Afghanistan. A spokesman for the Afghan Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the two sides discussed confidence-building measures during the two-day talks, including the lifting of sanctions and travel bans, as well as the return of Afghan central bank assets held abroad. The delegations also discussed combating narcotics and human rights issues. The group took over in August 2021 as Afghanistan's Western-backed government collapsed in the aftermath of the U.S. withdrawal from the country after 20 years.
امارات اسلامی افغانستان با آمریکایی ها از راه دیپلماتیک روابط حسنه میخواهد. اگرچه آمریکایی ها اینجا شکست خوردن، ناکام شدن، در بخش نظامی نتانستن به اهداف آمیال خود برسن، ولی امارات اسلامی افغانستان به نمایندگی از ملت خود باز هم میخواهد که با تمام دنیا روابط حسنه داشته باشه، روابط قوی دیپلماتیک داشته باشه. در این زمره آمریکا هم آماده میتونه. ما میخواهیم با در آینده با آمریکا هم روابط خود را پس آهسته آهسته حسنه بسازیم.
Since their takeover, the Taliban has faced international condemnation over restrictions the group has imposed on women's education. Afghanistan is also grappling with a humanitarian crisis, with almost half of its population receiving assistance from the World Food Program. The U.S. State Department said in a statement that its officials told the Taliban that Washington was open to technical talks on economic stability and repeated concerns about deteriorating human rights in the country.
Every step we take will be based not on what a Taliban-led government says, but what it does to live up to its commitments. The Taliban seeks international legitimacy and support. Our message is any legitimacy and any support will have to be earned.
Lebanon's central bank chief has stepped down after 30 years of tenure, leaving the country with an almost total collapse of his economy. Riyad Salameh is widely blamed for a crisis which has seen soaring inflation rates and a currency loss of nearly 98% of its value. Once respected for assisting the economic recovery of Lebanon after the civil war, he is being investigated by at least 7 countries for embezzlement and illicit enrichment, claiming he laundered more than $300 million throughout his whole term. Mr. Salameh was appointed governor of Lebanon's central bank in 1993 and was initially credited with bringing stability to the economy. But in recent years, he has been accused of large-scale financial mismanagement, often borrowing money to pay existing creditors, which is a predatory economic practice that just sees debt circulation into unvetted trade partners. The current financial crisis began in 2019 when the value of the Lebanese pound plummeted and inflation soared. Since then, the country has been in the midst of one of the world's most prolonged and acute economic crises, with more than 80% of the population living in poverty.
نحن أمام مفترق طرق فإما الاستمرار في نهج السياسات السابقة وقد عايشنا النتائج بمعنى أنه لم يعد خيارا لأنه بكل حال من الأحوال خلينا نعرف لو بدنا نستمر بالسياسات السابقة إمكانية المصرف المركزي بالنهاية محدودة يعني المبالغ الموجودة لدى المصرف المركزي بالنهاية رح توصل ورح تنتهي إذا استمرينا بالسياسات السابقة للتمويل. بالمقابل هذا الأمر يعني أنه لابد من الانتقال إلى سياسة أخرى وهي وقف تمويل الدولة بالكامل.
Bank withdrawals of hard currency are limited, meaning people are blocked from accessing their savings. Lebanon's caretaker government has failed to appoint a permanent successor, so his deputy Wasi Mansouri will take over as interim head of the bank.
لا يمكن إعطاء إجابة للمودع اللبناني حول مصير أمواله ومتى يستطيع استعادة وديعته إلا بإقرار هذه القوانين التي ينتظرها المودع منذ سنوات. ولمن يقول أن هذا المطلب صعب المنال وما لم يتحقق في 3 سنوات ونصف لن يتحقق في خلال 6 أشهر، أقول أنها فرصة البلد النهائية.
Greece's Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis said that his government wants to take full advantage of improving the political climate with their neighbor Turkey in order to improve bilateral relations despite a string of disputes. However, Mitsotakis said that Turkey had to abandon its aggressive and unlawful conduct against Greece's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Αυτή η διαφαινόμενη βελτίωση και στις ελληνοτουρκικές σχέσεις αλλά και στις ευρωτουρκικές σχέσεις είναι μια ευκαιρία την οποία θα πρέπει να την αγκαλιάσουμε υπό την προϋπόθεση, και θέλω να τονίσω αυτές τις 2 λέξεις τις οποίες ανέφερε ο Πρόεδρος, να είναι σταδιακή και αναστρέψιμη. Αυτές είναι 2 λέξεις οι οποίες πιστεύω ότι θα αποτελέσουν τον οδηγό σε αυτήν την νέα προσπάθεια, καθώς μπορούμε να είμαστε αισιόδοξοι αλλά δεν είμαστε ταυτόχρονα και αφελείς.
Turkey and Greece remain at odds over maritime boundaries in the eastern Mediterranean, a dispute that affects regular migration into the European Union, mineral rights, and the projection of military power. Mitsotakis said that he agreed with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan during the NATO summit in Vilnius to initiate new lines of communication and to maintain a period of calm.
Και θέλω να ελπίζω πάντως, όπως συζητήσαμε, ότι αυτή η βελτίωση των ελληνοτουρκικών σχέσεων ίσως μπορεί να έχει ένα θετικό αντίκτυπο και στο Κυπριακό και αντίστροφα βέβαια. Αθήνα και Λευκοσία λοιπόν συντάσσονται, συνεργάζονται όλο ένα και στενότερο σε όλα αυτά τα πεδία, έτσι ώστε τους επόμενους μήνες, όπως είπα, να εξαντλήσουμε κάθε δυνατότητα σημαντικής πρόοδου τόσο στο ζήτημα του Κυπριακού όσο και στις ελληνοτουρκικές σχέσεις.
The Greek Prime Minister said that Erdogan's outreach to the EU couldn't come at the expense of efforts to heal nearly half a century of ethnic division in Cyprus, which has been split into separate Greek and Turkish entities since 1974. Turkey and the breakaway Turkish Cypriots have insisted on a 2-state solution since July 2017, when the most recent round of UN-facilitated peace talks collapsed.
Η στήριξη της Ελλάδος σε οποιαδήποτε πρωτοβουλία αναλυφθεί από τον Πρόεδρο και από την ελληνοκυπριακή πλευρά είναι δεδομένη και αυτονόητη. Από εκεί και πέρα, μιας και με ρωτήσατε, θα σας απαντήσω ευθέως ότι ο Πρόεδρος Ερντογάν γνωρίζει και του το μετέφερα. Και πάλι ότι μια βελτίωση, διαφαινόμενη βελτίωση των ευρωτουρκικών σχέσεων δεν μπορεί να μην συμπεριλαμβάνει και το Κυπριακό. Δεν μπορεί να είναι ένα περιχαρακωμένο πρόβλημα το οποίο το αφήνουμε στην άκρη, διότι πολύ απλά είναι τόσο σημαντικό για τους δυο μας, αλλά πιστεύω και για την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση.
That expiry led to collapse of a UN Security Council brokered agreement that would unify Cyprus with a federation made up of Greek and Turkish-speaking zones. High-level talks between the two countries are expected to take place in the Greek city of Thessaloniki later this year.
Και κύριοι, όπως είναι αναμενόμενο, με τον Έλληνα Πρωθυπουργό συζητήσαμε εντελεχώς τις τελευταίες εξελίξεις ό,τι αφορά τις προσπάθειες για άρση του αδιεξόδου και επανέναξη των συνομιλιών για το Κυπριακό. Όσο και αν κάποιοι, το είπα χθες, θέλω να το επαναλάβω και σήμερα, όσο και αν κάποιοι είτε στην Αθήνα είτε στη Λευκοσία συνεχίζουν για τους δικούς τους λόγους να βλέπουν διαφορές μεταξύ μας, οι στόχοι και οι επιδιώξεις μας είναι κοινές, όπως επίσης και ο τρόπος και τα μέσα για να πετύχουμε αυτούς τους στόχους.
Ukraine's interior minister claims that a Russian missile strike killed 6 people and injured 69 others in the city of Kryvyi Rih. Kryvyi Rih is the home city of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The missile slammed into a high-rise building in a university, with much of it completely demolished by the strike. President Zelensky vows that the terror will not break Ukraine and accuses Russia of launching genocidal attacks on civilians.
A pro-Russian movement is spreading across Niger as thousands of protesters raise the white, blue, and red flag of Russia across the streets, following the coup of General Abdurrahmane Tchiani. In recent years, anti-French sentiment has risen across the region as attacks from religious extremists continued, and the locals accuse France of not doing enough to stop them. Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum was a strong ally of the West in the fight against the religious extremists and frequently banned anti-French sentiment and protest. With Bazoum deposed, anti-French groups are free to protest, even attacking the French embassy, also giving way to pro-Russian groups to sway more of the public. Some believe Russia could provide the security Niger needs against religious extremists and provide valuable agricultural technology to their poverty-ridden country.
The United States says it will support a multinational police force led by Kenya to be deployed in Haiti. This includes leading a push at the UN Security Council to authorize the mission. David Oria has the details.
State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says the U.S. is committed to finding the resources to support this multinational force. Miller said, however, that it is too early to get into any details about what those resources might be. But after the Kenyans have conducted their initial assessment mission, Miller says the U.S. will be in contact with them about what it might look like. Haiti has welcomed with great interest a Kenyan offer to lead a 1,000-strong multinational force to bolster security in the violence-torn Caribbean country. Kenya announced Saturday that it was prepared to deploy 1,000 police agents to help train and support their Haitian counterparts. Haiti is combating violent gangs that have taken control of much of capital Port-au-Prince. This proposed deployment, however, would still require a mandate from the United Nations Security Council, as well as formal agreement by local authorities. The Council has asked Secretary General Antonio Guterres to present by mid-August a report on possible options for Haiti. This includes a UN-led mission. David Oria from Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Washington issues travel alert level 4 or a do not travel advisory over a string of kidnappings in Haiti. This is after Alex Dorsainville, a nurse for a nonprofit organization in Haiti, and her daughters were reported to be kidnapped by Haitian militant groups. Reports say that the two were taken from El Roy Haiti ministry site near Port-au-Prince. The Department of State orders the departure of family members of the United States government employees and its non-emergency counterparts, U.S. citizens in the Caribbean country. Earlier this month, the United Nations Security Council held talks about Haiti's worsening situation.
Up next, a cargo ship packed with electric cars caught fire over the Dutch coast. A body stuffed in a barrel was discovered in Malibu. And a railway security guard has been arrested for shooting multiple individuals. Please don't go away. We've got more stories from around the globe when Mata ng Agila International returns.
ESPN, siguradong sagot namin ang mga impormasyong kailangan ninyong malaman sa araw-araw.
Official nang bukas sa mga motorista ang NLEX Connector.
Meron ba talagang alitan ang pamilyang Degamo laban po sa Teves?
Our families have gone a long way, no? Ang una talagang kasama or alay ni Governor Degamo is ako at yung lolo ko.
Nagtala ng maximum heat index.
Nagsara po kahapon, April 3. Nako, bagyang humina po ang piso. Kami na din ni Ali ang bahala sa pagsiyasat sa mga isyong kinakaharap ng bansa.
Kung makita nila na meron namang sufficient basis, ay pwede silang magpa-issue sa International Criminal Court ng warrant of arrest.
He was looking to grade, binaon talaga siya, inilibing. Your question.
So 12 years, I have done my part, Benson, and I know you are proud of me. In spite of the odds.
Samahan nyo kami, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Dito lang yan sa Net 25!
From the co-founder of Marks & Spencer to the designer Jimmy Choo to local neighborhood restaurateurs, an exhibition at London's Migration Museum showcases migrant entrepreneurs and the role they played in molding Britain. From London, England, Lee Lance Valdos tells us more.
From the co-founder of retail giant Marks & Spencer to the owners of a family-run Chinese takeaway, a new exhibition is showcasing migrant entrepreneurs and the role they played in molding Britain. At the museum base inside a South London shopping centre, visitors can wander through areas dedicated to various types of migrant-owned businesses found on a typical British high street, from restaurants to corner shops. One example is the retailer Marks & Spencer, which was co-founded by Michael Marks, who was born into a Polish Jewish family that immigrated to Britain in 1882.
So everybody knows these brands, these companies, and we use them every day. We shop in them, or we drink their coffee, or we wear their clothes. But yeah, often we don't know the stories behind it. We don't stop to think about people that created these businesses.
The exhibition also retraces the journeys of dozens of migrants who may not be known by name but are among those who came to the UK to seek refuge from oppressive systems, escape poverty, or simply to study and launch a business.
According to Playwright, the exhibition aims to bring life to the personal stories, the stories behind the headlines. The exhibition is not just about celebrating success stories, but also about embracing the complexity and highlighting the discrimination, the challenges, and the difficulties many of these business owners and people continue to face today.
If you look at the histories of the businesses in this exhibition, it's linked to the history of Britain and the history of imperialism and trade and both emigration and immigration, that there's been this flow of people to and from Britain and these islands for, well, thousands, but in this exhibition, hundreds of years.
The Taking Care of Business exhibition runs until late September and explores the origins of many British companies that were founded by immigrants and have since become household names. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I am Lee Lance Valdos for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A cargo ship packed with electric cars that caught fire off the Dutch coast has been towed to a new temporary position. This to prevent an ecological disaster. EJ Gonzalez reports.
The 66-kilometer operation to move the Fremantle Highway vessel began on Sunday. Rijkswaterstaat National Water Management Agency says it was carried out without any problem. The cause of the fire remains unclear. The vessel's owner, however, says one of the electric vehicles on board may have been the source. One sailor died after he and 22 others were rescued from the burning ship. The fire forced some crew members to jump overboard. Most have since been released from the hospital. Although the cargo ship is now 16 kilometers north of the islands of Shermanakog and Ameland. It remains a concern, however, because of the impact of pollutants on the waters and a nearby archipelago of ecologically sensitive islands in the Wadden Sea. EJ Gonzalez for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
A former childcare worker in Australia has been charged with sexually abusing 91 children. According to authorities, the 45-year-old man has been charged with 1,623 separate offenses where the alleged crimes were carried out at 12 different daycare centers in Sydney, Brisbane, and overseas between 2007 and 2022. Investigators had been searching for the man since discovering a collection of child exploitation images and videos circulating on the dark web in 2014. The accused man from the Gold Coast in Queensland has been in custody since he was arrested and charged with a number of child exploitation offenses in August of 2022. The man, who has not been named, is scheduled to face Brisbane Magistrates Court on August 21.
A body stuffed in a barrel was discovered Monday on a beach in Malibu. Malibu is a Californian hotspot loved by the rich and famous. Ralph Cornell reports.
Reports say the man's corpse was crammed into a 55-gallon drum. It was discovered by maintenance workers. Homicide detectives from the Los Angeles County Sheriff were working the case. It did not reveal the dead man's identity or his cause of death. A local media outlet says the barrel had originally been spotted bobbing in the water at Malibu Lagoon State Beach by sanitation workers on Sunday evening. Photos show the closed barrel resting upright in shallow water in a spot close to Malibu Pier. Barrels are understood to be a favorite disposal method for mobsters who want to get rid of a corpse. Last year, the receding waters of Lake Mead revealed the skeletal remains of a murder victim whose body had been stuffed into a drum. Mafia watchers said it was probably the work of mobsters from nearby Las Vegas decades earlier. Ralph Cornell from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
At least 10 people died and 76 have been injured after a severe storm hit the central Volga region in Russia. Russia's emergency ministry, or EM, announced that 8 of the victims are children and died when trees fell on the campsite area in Mariel region. The campsite was located near the Lake Yalchik, more than 600 kilometers east of Moscow. The storm leaves over 100,000 people without power connections in 8 affected regions. EM reported casualties in 50 buildings and urged the public to avoid trees, unstable buildings, walking along the countryside, and swimming. The ministry posted pictures of damaged cars and tents beside fallen trees. They added that several hundred people camped out on the shores of lake during the storm.
In India, a railway security guard has been arrested after he allegedly shot dead a colleague and 3 passengers on board a train. The suspect was identified as Railway Protection Force Constable Chetan Singh, who then hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, after the shooting. Singh is accused of shooting RPF Assistant Sub-Inspector Tika Ramina and 3 passengers. 2 of the victims were identified as Abdul Qadar and Asghar Abbas Ali, where the 3rd victim has yet to be identified. Reports say that Singh had been involved in an argument with Meena, after which Singh opened fire on his senior colleague using his own service rifle. After the shooting, Singh got off the train at Borivali station in Mumbai by local police, where the motive behind the shooting was still not clear as an investigation is underway.
UNESCO will reevaluate the decision of making the Great Barrier Reef an endangered World Heritage Site and instead recommends Venice to be added to the list. The Australian government argues that UNESCO's data on the Great Barrier Reef is outdated and that the authorities are already working hard to protect the world's largest coral reef. Due to the effects of climate change and rising sea levels, Venice is in grave danger compared to the Great Barrier Reef. UNESCO has even blamed the Italian authorities for negligence when it comes to one of Italy's most picturesque cities, leading to UNESCO opening a review on making Venice an endangered World Heritage Site. Climate experts say 2/3 of summer months so far in 2023 are likely to be record-breaking, with the warmest year expected in the next 5 years as July temperatures register global averages above any comparative period. From London, England, Sarah Alcantara has the details.
UN and EU monitors stated that July is set to be the hottest month recorded in history and likely unprecedented for thousands of years, warning that this was a taste of the world's climate future. Searing heat intensified by global warming has baked parts of Europe, Asia, and North America this month, combining with wildfires that have scorched across Canada and parts of southern Europe.
By putting this evidence in the light of our broader knowledge on the warming of the climate system, I think is in all likelihood the record we are seeing now are unprecedented in our history in the last few thousand years, and as you say, very likely to be unprecedented in a much longer time range, probably of the order of 100,000 years.
The WMO predicts it is more likely than not that global temperature will temporarily rise 1.5 Celsius above the pre-industrial benchmark for at least one of the next 5 years. They stress, however, that this would not mark a permanent breach of the 1.5 Celsius limit set out in the Paris Agreement, which refers to long-term warming.
So WMO predicted back in May, we made a press release that there would be a 98%, so almost certain likelihood that one of the next 5 years will be the warmest on record, and a 66% chance, so more likely than not, of temporarily exceeding the 1.5 degree above pre-industrial for at least one of the 5 years. So we're not saying permanently exceeding 1.5 degrees at this point, but more likely than not that one of the next 5 years will temporarily exceed 1.5.
Temperature records have tumbled across the northern hemisphere this month, with many regions sweltering through weeks of unrelenting heat. Countries like USA, China, and Greece have taken necessary measures to bolster heat-related methods for their citizens. I am Sara Alcantara, London Bureau for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Coming right up. San Francisco's Department of Building Inspection orders Elon Musk to take the X down. Terrence Crawford has claimed the undisputed welterweight world title. And Cardi B issues a harsh warning to stop throwing things at concerts. Catch the latest in business, sports, tech, and entertainment. Mata ng Agila International will be back.
Dito, ang inyong sumbong siguradong may responding katapat. Hindi nagdadalawang isip na tumulong, sino man ang nangangailangan.
Mga problemang kinakaharap ng mga OFW at ang anomalya sa mga nagpapanggap na TESDA Accredited Training School sa Hong Kong, ibubuking. Exclusive! medical mission para sa mga kababayan nating OFW. Inihatid ng Responde.
Certified E-Responder!
At mga Pinay na nakipaglaban sa sakit na cancer sa Hong Kong, nakahanap ng Responde.
Gusto ko lang kahit 2 to 3 years makasama ko man lang sila.
Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi, ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
China imposes restrictions on the exports of long-range civilian drones due to concerns that these drones might be used for military purposes in the ongoing war in Ukraine. The restrictions will apply to drones that can fly beyond the natural sight distance of operators, stay aloft for more than 30 minutes, have attachments that can throw objects, and weigh more than 7 kilograms. China, a leading developer and exporter of drones, aims to prevent the use of drones for non-peaceful purposes and accuses the United States and Western media of spreading false information about their drone exports. Shortly after Elon Musk installed a towering, blinking X atop former Twitter's San Francisco headquarters, he had to take it down. Why? And neighbors were not so happy about it. Ken Cruz tells us more.
The rebranded tech firm X tangled with city officials over the controversial sign on Monday. Local residents had complained about the brilliant flashing lights emitting from the sign at night. Some also complained about safety. Residents suggest the sign did not appear securely anchored to the roof as it loomed over the building's edge. Agency Communications Director Patrick Hannan says San Francisco's Department of Building and Inspection and City Planning received 24 complaints about the sign. The city says a building inspector attempted twice to check the sign. Both attempts were rebuffed by X. The city then sent X a notice of violation warning that it needed proper permits for the sign. Hannan says the owner of the property where X is renting offices will have to pay the cost of permits to install and remove the sign, as well as the cost of the city's investigation. The X was part of owner Elon Musk's bid to rebrand the troubled social media giant Twitter. It was recently installed on the roof of the company's downtown headquarters. Ken Cruz for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
China's electric vehicle maker Leapmotor unveils its new manufacturing platform, while its chief executive wants to license it to other automakers. Dubbed as the four-leaf clover, the facility features an integrated computing platform capable of controlling all intelligent functions. These include an EV's autonomous driving and smart cockpit functions. Leapmotor hopes to sell the platform to other automakers via tech licensing agreements. Leapmotor's senior engineer says that the platform can reduce the use of controls and wire harnesses and would cut the materials cost per car by 500 yuan or $70 US. The company is already planning to launch the platform's next generation in 2025.
Russian-Ukrainian Team Spirit wins Riyadh Masters Dota 2 tournament, claiming a trophy and monetary prize of $5 million. Head of the Russian State Duma's Sports Committee, Dmitry Zvechev, greets the team, noting competitions should not be linked with politics. He adds that the Ministry of Sports is inviting Ukrainian athletes to the World Friendship Games and guarantees their safety and equal rights with other participants. Team Spirit is composed of Russians Denis Raul Sigitov, Magomed Kolaps Kalilov, and Yaroslav Miposhka Naidenov, and Ukrainians Ilya Yatoro Molyarchuk and Miroslav Mira Kolpakov. Riyadh Masters 2023 is part of Gamers' 8th electronic event organized by the Saudi Esports Federation. Terence Crawford has claimed the undisputed welterweight world title by defeating Errol Spence via technical knockout. That concluded the match. With the feat, Crawford added the World Boxing Association, World Boxing Council, and International Boxing Federation titles to his own World Boxing Organization crown. Crawford also became the first undisputed welterweight world champion of boxing's four-belt era and the first man to win all the belts in two weight divisions. Euphoria star Angus Cloud dies at 25. The young actor was seen struggling due to the loss of his father. Cloud died in his hometown of Oakland, California. Details surrounding his death have not yet been disclosed to the public. The actor acted as Fezco O'Neill, or Fez, in the drama series Euphoria. The big breaks of his career came during Euphoria, and he received his first film role as a supporting cast in the college drama The Line. He was also cast in Scream 6 and made cameos in multiple music videos. He played the part for the first two seasons of Euphoria, but the third season's filming has yet to begin. His friends and co-stars all pay tribute to his memory on social media.
Paul Rubens, who is best known for portraying the character Pee Wee Herman, died on Sunday at 70 years old. Catherine Ortula has the details.
Paul Rubens, the actor best known for portraying Pee Wee Herman, died on the night of July 30 at Cedar's Sinai Medical Center after a private battle with cancer for 6 years. He was 70. Rubens had written a public apology for not disclosing his cancer diagnosis, which was posted to Instagram after his death. The high-pitched voiced Pee Wee Herman, with his bright red bow tie, gray suit, and flat-top haircut, debuted in 1970s. Rubens stuck to his Pee Wee character in his interviews and public appearances. In 1980, Rubens launched the stage production The Pee Wee Herman Show, which made him a silver screen star, and he eventually teamed up with Tim Burton for the 1985 Pee Wee's Big Adventure movie. But it was the CBS weekend morning show Pee Wee's Playhouse, which ran from 1986 to 1990, that made him a household name and a childhood hero. He published a book, was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1989, and successfully built a Pee Wee franchise with merchandise generating more than $25 million at the height of his popularity in the late 1980s. But his image took a dark turn when in 1991, Rubens was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater and since then was plagued with child pornography charges. But Rubens claimed to be innocent until the end. His child pornography charges were dropped in 2004 after he agreed to plead guilty to a lesser misdemeanor obscenity charge. Despite the negative publicity, many artists who knew Rubens, including Cyndi Lauper, Zsa Zsa Gabor, and Valeria Golino, voiced support. Rubens' last screen appearance was in the movie Pee Wee's Big Holiday in 2016, which was released on Netflix. Catherine Ortula for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
In other entertainment news, a concert goer filed a battery complaint against Cardi B at the Las Vegas Metro Police Department after an incident during one of her shows. Bernadette Manuel has the scoop.
A video circulating online shows Cardi B throwing a microphone at an audience member at a July 29 concert in Las Vegas. But the Bodak Yellow singer was only retaliating after someone from the crowd threw a drink at her. It remains unclear whether the person who threw the drink and the person who filed the police report are the same individual. No arrests or citations have been issued yet. This incident is just the latest in the harmful and shocking trend of concert goers throwing stuff at performers, from drinks to cell phones and other hard objects, which is speculated to be an act to gain social media attention. Harry Styles was also a victim when he was hit in the face by a flying object during his Love on Tour concert in Vienna, Austria in July. Bebe Rexha in June collapsed on stage after she was hit by a flying phone at a New York City concert last month. The man who threw the phone at Bibi was arrested, admitting that he did it because he thought it would be funny. Drake was also hit with a phone in a Chicago show last month. Pink, Kelsey Ballerini, and more joined the list of victims of this dangerous craze, which continues to plague pop stars. Bernadette Manuel for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
I think I'm gonna put off going to concerts for a while.
Please be responsible concert goers.
It's supposed to be fun and all, right? To get you through the week, here's a quote from American productivity consultant and author David Allen. Much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they've started.
I feel like that quote is talking to me right now and my procrastination.
Yeah, because it preoccupies the mind.
It really does.
So it really helps to finish what you've started.
And then the more you stress about it, the more you put it off. It becomes the cycle.
I agree.
So let's be productive this week. I hope that motivates you. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Arago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.